What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz here on this Labor Day Monday. We're glad to see you, and we're glad that we are partnered with Russell Dewitt Center and Building Supply Stores, J.A. Smith Construction and Excavation, and Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Green. Andy, good to see you here on a Monday morning. We are filming this, so it'll be a little bit later when everybody's seeing this. They'll see it at the normal time, but we recorded this a little earlier this morning because we want to take advantage of Labor Day as much as we possibly can. So good to see you this morning.
Hey, it's good to be here. Always good to talk about Auburn after a win.
Yeah, we've talked about this game for a long time, and it's finally come and gone. And like we said on the podcast this morning, Auburn passed the test. And, I think that's where we'll start. I think looking at this from a perspective of how much pressure was on Auburn. I mean, we'd even built this thing up to the point where we were all saying, is this the most important season opener ever in Auburn history because of the things preceding this season, 4 losing seasons in a row. Hugh Freeze going into his third year. There was a lot of pressure. I can honestly say, Andy, at the game, I didn't feel it. You don't feel it in the moment. You're just at another game. And but you could tell in the press conference that Coach Freeze was relieved he was excited that they won, obviously, but you could tell he was like, I'm glad that's over. Let's move on.
Yeah, we don't know how good Baylor is. We'll find out in 4 or 5 weeks. We'll probably find out a little bit more about them this week. They play SMU, so that'll be another test for them. But if for everybody that thinks that this is not really, a lot of people have said, well, is it that big a deal that you go on the road and beat a Big 12 team? Look, since 2011, Auburn against Power 4 competition, not out of conference, they're 9-15. They were 9-15 going into this game. Now on games away from Jordan-Hare Stadium against Power 4 competition since 2011, they're 8-12. So yes, this is a big deal.
Losing, found out how big a deal it was. That's how you. When you win, everybody goes, "Well, it's a Big 12 team." You go over and lose, you find out how really big of a deal it would be.
No question. Look, and so this was one of the big questions we had. Was it going to be something different this year? Was it going to be more of the same? Well, more of the same would have been to go over there and lose. So Auburn made a statement. They scored 38 points. The offense showed up, ran the ball extremely well. We can talk about, the passing game or lack thereof, but certainly we can talk about the defense and the things that they've got to clean up. But I'll take a 2-touchdown win on the road against Power 4 competition every day of the week.
Every day. And y'all were texting. I didn't have a real good chance to reply to a lot. I was trying to send some videos to you guys, and the service sucks in a stadium. You know that. And so I just quit and eventually just said, I can't do this. And but I was still receiving what you guys were sending. And look, the whole time we were all standing on the sideline, me and Faith and Jason were standing together majority of the game and going to either end zone. And I said, look, everybody that we've been talking to and doing podcasts and been watching us is going to think we're blind, because everything we talked about was completely opposite. We talked about how great our defense was going to be and how unbelievable our secondary was and lockdown and this, that, and the other. And then, of course, everybody in the country's talked about Auburn's receiver room. Everybody, is it the best receiver room? After watching Ohio State and some of these other ones, Auburn may have the best wide receiver room. Didn't throw it enough to really know. And then we were all concerned about Jackson Arnold in the running game. Well, guess what? We don't need to be concerned about anymore. Jackson Arnold in the running game. What we do need to be concerned about is what we all thought should be confident about, is the secondary and tackling. So I don't know. It just tells you that sometimes in practice and in scrimmages, you just don't know. And look, I'm not throwing the secondary out the door. This secondary is very talented, and they got great players. They struggle tackling for whatever reason. But I'm going to give some credit to Sawyer Robertson. The guy can pass, and Baylor's pretty dynamic offensively. And I'm not too sure that Auburn's going to face a passing team, maybe any better than them. You watch the stats as they rack them up this year, and we can go back and reevaluate that at the end of the season. Is Auburn going to play some better teams? Yeah, of course. But I think offensively, Baylor's going to be right up there. When you do a reevaluation of your opponents, you're going to see that that's probably a top 3 or 4 offense that Auburn's going to face this year on their schedule. So, hey, look, I'm perfectly fine with the defensive line play. Linebackers got to get a little bit better, but I think the secondary, we saw it get better last year, Andy, as the year went on. These guys they'll figure it out.
Well, the good news is, if you want to look at it as good news is, tackling can be fixed. To me, I'm not a coach, but I've always kind of looked at it like tackling is about 30% technique and 70% effort. So that can be adjusted. That can be fixed. Right. A lot of the yardage was busted coverages. That can be fixed. Just being in the right position. So those two things I think will help the secondary. And certainly, like you said, DJ Durkin he'll make some adjustments and he will get better. On the other side, like you were talking about, the offense, when Randy and I did a show on Friday, and we thought, and like most everybody else, that Baylor would come in, Dave Aranda would set up and say, we're going to sell out to stop the run, and we're going to make Jackson Arnold try to beat us, because we don't believe that he'll make a mistake sooner or later and we'll capitalize on it. Completely opposite. Came in, never had 2 deep safeties, bracketed the wide receivers, and basically said, you are not going to throw deep on us, and never adjusted for the rest of the game. And I told Randy that was my biggest fear, that we would have something in the running game that would work, and Hugh Freeze would be so stubborn that he would go away from it like he did last year at times. Right. But that didn't happen. There again, that's what I wanted to see, and that was so good to see. That
so encouraging.
Don't go away from it. It's working. Why would you?
And in this day and age of everything's about perception and image, you want to appease the masses out there. And we've talked about it. Would you rather win ugly or lose pretty? And I'm not saying we won ugly. I'm just saying that when you got a dynamic wide receiver room that has been talked about by everybody for the last 4 or 5 months, and you go out there, and if you'd have told me going into that game that your leading receiver would have 1 catch for 26 yards, I'd have said, well, Hugh Freeze didn't make it out of Texas. That we got killed, and this was a terrible performance. But, again, Coach Freeze said it in the press conference, and Jackson Arnold did too. You got to swallow your pride sometimes and go, we're going to go with what's working, and we're going to stay with it, and we're going to force them to stop it. If they don't stop it, we're going to beat their brains out. And that's what we did. And, it would have been easy to go, okay, we've run the ball. Now let's get some of our guys in the mix so they don't get pissed off. Well, I saw all the receivers after the game. I was in the tunnel with them. I was right by the locker room. None of them were pouting. None of them were complaining. All of them were excited. Look, they all want to win. They all want to win now, and they know their time's coming. They knew the running game was working, and so they needed to do some things, blocking, whatever, to help the team win on that particular night. Now, there's going to be games where they're going to have to make plays, and they're going to have to do some things to help Auburn win in the passing game. Those days are coming. So I'm just glad to see that we didn't have a bunch of guys walking around pouting because they didn't have 5 to 7 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns apiece, because that happens in modern day football now.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I think everybody was, understands the moment. Right. They've been around for a couple of years at Auburn. They understood the pressure of winning this year, and Jackson Arnold certainly first and foremost in that. Coming from Oklahoma, having a very disappointing season, for him to go out and again, he only throws for 108 yards, but
Didn't need
Man,
to pass.
he looked
But he made some key throws.
he looked very comfortable and very productive in the running game for sure.
But he made some key throws. A lot of I haven't talked about that on anything yet. The throw to Horatio Fields to keep the drive going, was massive.
That throw to Cam Coleman was beautiful.
The throw to Cam Coleman. I mean, the pass to Malcolm in the first quarter really loosened us up. I mean, Baylor had the ball twice, kicked the field goal. We stopped them again, and then we were driving down, and it came down to having to make a play. And, that was that 26-yard pass to Malcolm, and it just felt like the offense went, okay, now we can make a play. And we went on down, scored a touchdown, took the lead, and we never looked back after that. So sometimes on the road, you're trying to get your feel. You don't want to make a bunch of mistakes and dig a hole. It didn't start well for Auburn. Of course, I have learned to expect that as an Auburn fan. I didn't expect us to come out and, and even if we had come out blazing, I would have sat over there and expected them to come back like the Texas A&M game last year. But bottom line is we finally settled in. It was good to see, like you said, that the offensive coaching staff said, okay, they can't stop us tonight. And if we hold on to the football, we don't turn it over, we're going to be in good shape. And we did. So we took care of the football too. That's another thing. I asked that question in the press conference to Coach Freeze. I said, you made it a point in media days to talk about some things that we got to be better. One was protecting the football, and others red zone efficiency. And I said, you both did. You accomplished both tonight. You were great in the red zone, not kicking field goals, scoring touchdowns, and you didn't turn the ball over. I mean, see what happens when those two things go in the right direction.
Very nice. And, turned them away in the red zone a couple of times defensively.
Yes.
So you got the best of both worlds. You took advantage offensively when you got there. No missed field goals, no turnovers. It was just a lot to be excited about, a lot to be able to build on.
And you got a special teams touchdown from
right.
Rashawn Pleasant, which was very, very eye-opening how explosive he is. He's on a bunch of preseason award watch lists for special teams. Well, good Lord, right out of the gate. And, to hear him talk, we interviewed him after the game. And, the first one, he had a chance and he fair caught it because the coaches told him to. And Freeze told the coaches, said, if that happens again, let him run it back. Don't let him fair catch anything else. Give him a chance. And Jason Caldwell, I'll give him credit, in the second quarter said if he has a chance to run one, if he has a chance to return one tonight, he's going to take it all the way to the house. I said, you think? He said, I'm just telling you, man. He said, you watch practice like I have. He said, this guy has an instinct. Andy, we've seen punt returners and kick returners in the past. Some guys just know how to find seams, and they just have an innate instinct to be able to get massive yards on returns and have a chance to almost break it every time. Pleasant's that guy. Man, he caught that ball, and immediately he saw the lane, and he cut back. And when he hit the sideline, dude, and then Malcolm may have been the most impressive thing on the return because he was way behind him, and he came and passed him. This guy is, Malcolm calls himself freak of nature on social media, and he really is, to be able to run that fast. But very impressed with Rashawn Pleasant, and also he didn't get a lot of praise. Very impressed with Alex McPherson with all the crap he's had to go through personally and physically to be able to go out there and do what he did and account for 8 points in that game. Extra points and a field goal. I mean, and dude, he looks so small, and I know y'all know that too by watching. And he just grits it out. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's a warrior. He's very unselfish. And tip of the hat to that guy. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he does. You can tell that he's not anywhere close to being 100%. And I don't know if he ever will be.
No.
But nonetheless, to go out there, like you said, and the determination to he wants to play for this team, and When he first came in, you were thinking, this guy's probably an NFL kicker. Now you're just hoping, he has a normal life, so to
Right.
speak. So, but for just to want to play with the team and to be able to be successful doing that, and Towns Magoo kicking off, he did a great job as well.
No, he did. Again, all the way around. When you evaluate this film, you're going to have some things, obviously, that you're going to point to that you got to get better at. But there's also going to be a lot of things you point to that you were very pleased with. So, and it's always better to break down film after a win than it is a loss. Okay, so we got Ball State coming up this weekend at 6:30. Auburn should be able to go out there. They should be able to play a bunch of people. They should be able I guess enhance what they did against Baylor, work on the things, fine tune those things the next 2 weekends. Ball State, South Alabama, before they have to go back on the road for 2 really tough football games, Oklahoma and Texas A&M. So they'll work over the next couple weeks to try to fine tune what they're doing. And we always hear the old adage, you make your most improvement from week 1 to week 2. So we'll see what that looks. You ain't gonna be able to tell much against Ball State, but you can. There in games like that, you can come out and be sloppy, Andy. You can come out disinterested and not focused and slop around and win 27-13 or some crap like that. Auburn should beat Ball State 55-7. Okay, I'm just saying that should be about what the score should. I don't know what the score will be, but that's what it should be against a team like Ball State with a discrepancy in roster. So we'll see. I think this team's hungry. I don't think they'll take anybody for granted, and I think they'll look to improve on what they did this past weekend. All right, so around the SEC, Randy and I did a live last night on that and kind of did some things, but I've got to ask you your opinion of Alabama, because the film's out there for everybody to see on Twitter. Everybody's posting. I just saw a team that looked disinterested, which was kind of crazy. I'm like, I'm not here to take a shot at Alabama right now because they took enough shots on Saturday, and their fan base is giving them enough shots. But I'll say a couple things, and I'll turn it over to you and let you give your analysis. Number one, I told y'all last year I didn't think Kalen DeBoer was the right fit for Alabama. He just personality-wise just doesn't fit. I mean, his demeanor, and sometimes that's just the case. Sometimes it doesn't mean you're a bad coach. Obviously, he's proven he can take teams, to the national championship game. But to me, it's just his demeanor does not fit the style of Alabama. And then number two, the execution of what Alabama does is just eye-opening, man. And the lack of effort on defense, just getting run over and not hustling and things like that. Little things that you would never question about an Alabama football team, they are questioning right now. And we'll see where it goes, but that's just my early take.
Can I ask a technical question before we do that?
Sure.
Are we doing commercial breaks?
We are not doing commercial breaks.
Okay.
We are going straight through because we're live. So we're going to go until we decide that we want to stop. So this is the Labor Day edition. We're not on TV today.
No,
we're on
YouTube
and we're on Facebook, and we got a bunch of people that watch us on YouTube and Facebook. So we felt like we needed to give somebody something that, hey, we can't help TV station shut down today. We tried. So we are providing a program for our audience out there. So, all right.
Just checking. All right.
Yep.
Well, I've heard a couple of things, and of course I've been listening like everybody else, and I watch the game. I usually don't watch Alabama play, but I watched the game from beginning to end pretty much. And I thought, like everybody else, it's been said 100 times, but I think they got beat on both lines of the lines of scrimmage. That was a little surprising. Now, again, we won't know how good Florida State is. Maybe they're a lot better than we think. Gus Malzahn has made really good defenses look silly at times, and he's made really bad defenses look good at times. So that's an interesting thing to watch Florida State moving forward. But as far as Alabama's concerned, I heard a couple of guys say, well, after Nick Saban, this Alabama team is just not as talented as it once was. No, that is not correct. Alabama is the second most talented team in the country right now on paper. Now,
and
again,
they like to tell everybody that, by the way, in recruiting.
yes,
right.
So I'll just throw the numbers out there. Georgia supposedly they're the most talented. They've got, I think, 14 5-star players and 57 4-star players. Alabama has 15 5-star players and 50 4-star players. Now, you could say, well, you could miss on 5 of those 5-star players, but that means there's 10 that are going to be really, really good. And you could say, well, okay, you could miss on 15 of those really high 4-star players. Well, that leaves 35 that are going to be really good. So that's 45 guys. That's too deep on both sides of the ball, Brett. To say they're not talented is letting DeBoer off the hook.
Yeah.
Their problem is coaching. It's maybe scheme. It may be effort. It's probably all three. But they looked about as mediocre as candy corn on Saturday.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about candy corn at Halloween. It's a mediocre candy that gets way too much hype and praise. It's terrible. It tastes like wax. I don't know why anybody likes that crap. But that's a good comparison. I'll give you credit on that. And are you prepared? I got to ask you a question now. Are you prepared not to talk for 2 hours tomorrow night? Because I don't know that you're going to get any word in at all. Like if people don't tune in tomorrow night to you and Luke, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They just don't like entertainment, because that one is going to be. I've already set my alarm to make sure I don't miss that episode tomorrow night, because frankly, and because Luke, I'll give Luke credit. He's disgusting. He's not trying to paint some picture and have an Alabama spin. Talked to many other Alabama fans this weekend. They're not doing it either. They're going, this is terrible. It's embarrassing. Don't know other way to say it. If I tried to make an excuse for why, I'd look stupid. So I'm not going to do it. So, it's just obvious. Like, they can't even defend that. Like, Alabama fan, which is hard to believe. Like, they will spend something more than anybody. Everybody knows that. They can't even spend that whipping. And I reminded everybody this morning on the podcast, this was a Florida State team that won 2 games last year. Now, I know Tommy Castellanos has made a bigger difference. That he's the real deal. And he's going to – Florida State's the real deal. Like,
he's perfect for Malzahn's offense.
He is. And Florida State's going to win a lot of football games this year. This is not the same team as they were last year. Here's the beauty of the transfer portal in front of your face. You can take a team that won 2 games last year and completely transform them into a winning program. Auburn, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Utah, all outside the top 25, all had really impressive wins. And now it's like, okay, how many of those get put in the top 25 when the poll comes out after today? It's a good question. I don't know. I definitely think Florida State deserves to be there. I think we deserve some credit for going on the road, because I can tell you this, if we'd have lost, boy, it would have been meltdown central over here on our side too. I can just tell you. But Auburn finally came out and, hey, performed and actually lived up to billing for a change. So will that last? I don't know. One game doesn't make a season. And Alabama fans and Alabama's program knows that too. They can correct some things and get back, going. But they've got more deficiencies, I think, than they even thought they had. And like you said earlier, there's some things you can coach and some things you can't. One thing you can control is effort. And I don't know if Alabama will pick their effort up. They'll have to pick their effort up if they want to win some key football games. And I went through their schedule this morning on the podcast, or maybe last night when I was with Randy on the weekend recap. They got a brutal run, man. It's not an easy schedule. I mean,
looks a lot harder now.
it absolutely looks a lot harder now. Just like Auburn's would have looked a lot harder than it is if we'd have lost to Baylor. Because you and I both said a path to 8 or 9 wins for Auburn includes a Baylor win. And if Auburn doesn't beat Baylor, then I don't know if we can get to 8 or 9 wins. But, doesn't mean we change our win total. Just means that, okay, that win will help us get maybe right there on the cusp of being considered a playoff team. We'll see.
Yeah, it's different than the first week I was expecting. A lot of things happened that
Right.
were a little bit surprising, and that's why we all love college football, because there is the unexpected that happens routinely. But of course, I watched Luke and on Locked On,
Yeah.
and you're right. I mean, and that's pretty much the response I've gotten from most Alabama fans. They just look at it and say, and like you said, and you brought up the Auburn receivers not having a big part of the game yet, not being down, not body language and stuff like that. The body language for Alabama was terrible.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
For Ryan Williams, and I didn't think
Well,
Ty Williams was that, or I didn't think Ty Simpson was that bad. I thought
I told you that yesterday. I
thought he was fine.
I don't think he's the reason they lost, and
No.
he just, everybody else. I don't think the offensive line was that great. Obviously, they didn't run the football worth a darn. And I know they don't have Jam Miller, but do you think Jam Miller would have made that much? He could have, maybe. I don't know. But the rest of the guys are top-ranked running backs too. They didn't get the job done. Offensive line didn't get the job done. Defense looked really lackadaisical. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They look so out of touch, they just didn't look interested for whatever reason. And that's just weird. It was just a weird look. And it's like you had to pinch yourself and go, is this Alabama out there playing? So again, we'll see how it all plays out as we move forward. They've got, again, a couple games. They'll have an easy win Saturday, and then they got Wisconsin at home, and then they get into I think they got Georgia right after that. So we'll see how that all works out. Couple more things, Andy, before we get off here for the Labor Day edition of our Auburn Blitz show. Texas, the long-awaited debut of Arch Manning was a bust for basic terms. Too much pressure on that kid, man. We've been saying it for months, and of course, Paul Feinbaum has to ruin somebody's career before it gets started by going, he's the best quarterback since Tim Tebow. I'm like, how do you know that, Paul? He just makes it's like he likes to try to set people up. And he may have been genuine about Arch Manning, but if he is, he bought into all the hype without having some product to talk to really rationally talk about, because none of us had anything other than him coming in certain situations last year. And Steve Spurrier made a statement several months ago. If Arch Manning was so good, and he's already crowned the number 1 draft pick in this coming up draft class and the Heisman winner, why didn't he beat Quinn Ewers out if he was so dang good last year?
Right.
Hey, it's a relevant point.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. Ohio State's probably going to go to number 1, and deservedly so. But I was not overly impressed with Ohio State. Yes, they were really, really good. But Arch Manning, I don't know. It was more than just Texas struggle. I mean, everything he threw, it seemed like it was either high or it was behind.
Right.
The arm angle that he threw, I don't even know if that's his. It's like he was throwing a sidearm.
Did you see the Uncle Rico comparison?
I did.
Good. I mean, dude, it looks just like him.
It does. But Uncle Rico hit the guy. He was a lot more accurate, but yeah, it was. I don't know if it's
You
pressure.
throwing a steak at somebody riding a
Yeah.
bicycle.
I don't know if it's just the pressure. Maybe it is, but that was maybe as stunning as anything else. Is just watching him struggle.
I mean,
the way that he did.
Number 3 team. Everybody's like, okay, we're going to the airport. I told Faith, I said, we're gonna go sit. We're gonna eat lunch. We got 3 hours before our flight, which kept getting delayed, by the way, because of the daggum weather. Which I was like, we're never getting out of here. So we sit there, eat, and in the airport and watch the game. And I'm like, this is one of the most boring. I mean, it was, and everybody else was like that too. There was just no excitement in the game. And it's like, well, so much hype and build up for this one. And this is what you get. You get a 14-7 win. Hey, look, now credit both defenses. Both defenses played well. Texas defense played well. But neither one of those offenses looked like they were going to set the woods on fire. And look, Jeremiah Smith dropped some passes. I mean, when you look at Jeremiah Smith, I would say Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, and Cam Coleman had like all the hype going into the season as top 3 receivers. Maybe there's some other guys out there I'm sure that other fan bases would put up there. But for all of us, obviously Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, and of course Ohio State. I don't think it's any doubt Jeremiah Smith is probably the best receiver in the country. But when you look at all 3 of their stats and stuff, you're like, and okay, week 1, try again, right? And in fairness to Cam, he just didn't get the ball thrown to him very much. I mean, Ryan Williams went out. Did he go out with a concussion? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Did he have his dinosaur in the locker room to comfort him?
Maybe so.
I don't know, man. Just we're in a different world. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I that velvet jacket with a stuffed animal. He's
I don't mind the velvet jacket as much as I do carrying a stuffed dinosaur into the. But to each his own.
I guess so.
You still got stuffed animals, Andy?
Not right now, no.
Okay. I'm just checking. So,
yeah.
Did you have them? Were you carrying them around at 18?
Probably not.
You know what would happen if you were, and we saw you with one. And the same with me or anybody else that hung out with us. It wouldn't have probably been pretty. Probably in the last one of us would have carried a stuffed animal.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Somebody
would have gotten beaten up, I would imagine.
I'm just telling you. You went ahead and said it. It would have. There's no probably to it. It would have been what the heck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, wrapping up college football today. Bill Belichick and this circus finally gets started at North Carolina against TCU. TCU's a favorite in this game. You like TCU in this game?
Not really. Why would who's TCU? 3 points. I don't know.
Who's Bill Belichick without Tom Brady? Not real. Not very good.
Look now. I don't. Whoa now. Let's not. Bill Belichick been around long before Tom Brady.
Yeah, but what did he do before then?
Before Tom Brady?
Yeah, what did he do?
Well, as a defensive coordinator, he won 2 Super Bowls.
Well, we ain't talking about being an assistant. I ain't diving on all this. Oh, he was a great defensive coordinator. No, what did he do at New England without Tom Brady?
I'm
just asking.
I don't think they won very much at all.
No, they were terrible, and I'm telling you.
I don't. The man knows more about football.
Who was more important than that? It was Tom Brady. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying the man hadn't forgotten. He knows more about football than anybody on the planet, probably about defense. Anyway, so I'm not. I don't know. It could be a complete disaster, but I'm taking North Carolina today.
You are taking North Carolina.
Yeah. What'd you think of? Did LSU? Who made the biggest statement this weekend? Was it LSU? Was it Miami? Was it?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, man. Very impressed. LSU probably should have won that game by 3 scores. they got screwed on that touchdown. Somebody has got to go back and change the rule. When you catch the ball, I mean, firmly inbounds 1 foot and then hit the pylon, damn, when does the play stop at that point? When you have to run 4 yards into the boundary and fall down and the ball wiggle and they go look at it with a telescope and go, okay, it's incomplete. Dude, what are we doing, man? Like, that guy that was a beautiful pass to a receiver that got in his foot inbounds clearly, had firm control, hit the pylon. The play should have been dead. It was a touchdown. Even the replay guy said it. He's like, I don't know how you're looking at this any other way than a touchdown. But, I mean, that could have cost them the football game, Andy. I mean, seriously, we got to quit making and quit having stupid decisions with replay and referees that could possibly cost teams games, man. Look, I'm not an LSU fan, but I was like, when that happened, I'm like, damn, they are trying to do everything to keep Clemson in this football game. Because LSU hurt themselves earlier by going for it, not getting it, right? So they probably should have kicked the field goal, but then they come back and they get that touchdown taken away from them. It just felt like Clemson was going to hang around and make a play and beat them, and it just felt like LSU was way better than them. And I'll say this, LSU's defense shut down a very good Clemson offense. You're going to watch Cade Klubnik and that offense. They're going to score a lot of points this year against everybody else, I think. But, man, LSU, I was impressed. I was.
Yeah, the defense especially, because they were not good last year, and they have definitely made some huge strides. That was about what I expected from Nussmeier. They ran the ball a little bit better than I thought they would, but I'm not a big believer in Clemson. I had not bought into them, so it did not surprise me that LSU was able to go in there and win. But like you said, I mean, they play an ACC schedule, so Clemson's going to be fine. They'll probably end up 11-1 or 10-2.
I think so, and they'll be in the playoffs, and they'll have everything in front of them. So we'll see how it all plays out. But all right, hey, look, a fun first weekend of college football. We're smiling over here because our team won. So and it's a good thing. So we get to go into 2 home games where we should take care of business, and we should be 3-0 going into Oklahoma. And
well, here's another one of those things. We're going to see more of the same. We're going to see something different. I mean, we have taken games kind of for granted, and under Hugh Freeze and New Mexico State, we just kind of count games as wins.
Right,
or we're going to go in there and be buttoned up and take care of business, or are we going to go in there and slop around? So we'll see.
Yeah, I think, that's what I said earlier. I think this team maybe has a different mentality, that they know that, there's some urgency to this season, that they've got the players to do some really good things if they'll keep improving week to week and not worry about who they're playing, just work on what they can do to get better and go out there and whoever the opponent is, just go do what you got to do. Whether it's Georgia or Ball State, shouldn't change. Again, I know the mentality is different and the enormity of the game is different, but that's what made Nick Saban so good at Alabama, is he had them dialed in to go, I don't care who we're playing this week. This is what we got to work on to get better, and we better get better from what we did last week. I don't care who the other opponent, I don't care who that is. We got to get better ourselves. So we'll see if Auburn's able to do that.
Well, I'm just glad, I got to admit, I was very skeptical. I even picked Baylor at the end of the week, last week. I said, prove it to me. Prove me wrong. Show me. Well, going out there and scoring 38 points. I know the defense has got problems and we got to deal with them, but I'm elated that we went out there and actually showed up and won.
Baylor offense that returned most everybody that averaged 34 points a game last year, we held them to 24. And we had a couple busted coverages. So, look, I'll take it. I'll take it, and we'll work on it and see what we can do from here. So,
definitely.
Well, all right, Andy. Good stuff, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Labor Day, and then we'll be back at it tomorrow once again. And of course, good luck tomorrow night. That's all I can tell you.
I plan to do as little labor as I can today, and I'm definitely looking forward to Tuesday night. We'll see if Luke shows up. I'm still thinking it's 50-50, but we'll see.
It's still 50-50. Well, he better. That's all I can tell. No, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, hope everybody has a great rest of your Labor Day out there, and we'll catch you again tomorrow for Auburn Blitz. Podcast in the morning, show at noon tomorrow. Y'all have a great day, everybody.